In this video, we will explain how to carry out prime factorization and using it to find the highest common factor and lowest common multiples for a group of numbers. A prime number is a natural number that has only two factors, 1 and the number itself. Natural numbers are whole numbers starting from 1. They are also called counting number. Some prime numbers are shown on screen. The number 2 is the smallest prime number and it is the only even prime number. A composite number is a natural number that has more than two factors. It is the opposite of prime numbers. In prime factorization, we express a composite number as a product of prime numbers only. These prime numbers are referred to as prime factors. For example, the composite number 24 can be expressed as 2 cubed multiplied by 3. The prime factors are 2 and 3. For the composite number 116, the prime factors are 2 and 29. For 275, the prime factors are 5 and 11. The two methods to perform prime factorization are by repeated division and by using a factor tree. Let's look at using repeated division with the number 792. First step, divide the composite number starting with the smallest prime number it can be divided by. In this example, that prime number is 2. Second step, keep dividing by the same prime number until the result is no longer divisible by that prime number. Third step, continue dividing using the next prime number. In the example, the next prime number is 3. Keep dividing until the result is no longer divisible. For the last step, repeated the third step until the result is 1. The composite number has been expressed as a product of prime numbers. For the factor tree method, we will demonstrate using the same number 792. Step 1 is to split the number into a product of two number with one of number being the smallest prime number it can be divided by. For the example, we split the number into 2 and 396. If the other number is not a prime number, repeat step 1 and split that number. We split 396 into 2 and 198. Repeat step 2 until both numbers are prime number. All the prime numbers are the prime factors. Prime factorization can be used to find the highest common factors of two or more numbers. The highest common factor is the largest factor common to all numbers. For example, looking at the factors for the two number, 60 and 90. There are 8 factors that are common to both numbers. The largest among these is 30. The highest common factor is 30. The two methods used to find the highest common factor are by prime factorization and by repeated division. We will demonstrate using prime factorization with 40 and 180 as an example. We perform prime factorization on each of the numbers and express them in index form. To find the highest common factor, identify the prime factors common to all numbers. For this example, the prime factors are 2 and 5. Next, identify the lowest index for each of the prime factors. In the example, the lowest index for the prime factor 2 is 2 and the lowest index for the prime factor 5 is 1. The highest common factor is the product of each of the common prime factors with the lowest index. Using the same example, 40 and 180, we will use repeated division to find the highest common factor. We start by dividing the numbers with the smallest prime number. In this example, that prime number is 2. Keep dividing until either one or all numbers are not divisible. Move on to the next prime number that all numbers are divisible by. For the example, the prime number is 5, and not 3 as 10 is not divisible by 3. Keep dividing until there are no prime numbers that all numbers can be divided by. The product of these prime factors is the highest common factor. Prime factorization can also be used to find the lowest common multiple of two or more numbers. The lowest common multiple is the smallest multiple common to all numbers. For example, looking at the multiples for the two numbers, 60 and 90. Looking at the first 5 multiples for each of the numbers, the smallest among these is 180. The lowest common multiple is 180. There are two methods to find the lowest common multiple. They are by prime factorization, and by repeated division. Using 40 and 180 as example, we will demonstrate using prime factorization to find the lowest common multiple. We perform prime factorization on each of the numbers and express them in index form. To find the lowest common multiple, identify all the prime factors. For this example, the prime factors are 2, 3 and 5. Next, identify the highest index for each of the prime factor. In the example, the highest index for the prime factor 2 is 3. The highest index for the prime factor 5 is 1. And the highest index for the prime factor 3 is 2. The lowest common multiple is the product of each of the prime factors with the highest index. Using the same example, 40 and 180, we will use repeated division to find the lowest common multiple. Follow the same steps as when finding the highest common factor. After reaching the point when there are no prime numbers that all the numbers can be divided by, divide the numbers until the result is 1. In this example, we divide 2 by the prime number 2. The result is 1. Moving on to the number 9, we divide it by 3 until it reaches 1. The lowest common multiple is product of the prime numbers. Lastly, let's go through an example finding the highest common factor and lowest common multiple for 3 numbers. Using prime factorization, express each of the number in index form. To find the highest common factor, identify the prime factors common to all 3 numbers. The highest common factor is the product of the common prime factors with the lowest index. To find the lowest common multiple, identify all the prime factors for the 3 numbers. The lowest common multiple is the product of all the prime factor with the highest index. Next, let's use repeated division to find the highest common factor and lowest common multiple. Start by dividing the 3 numbers with the smallest prime number. All 3 numbers are divisible by 3. The next prime number that all 3 numbers are divisible by is 13. The 3 numbers are no longer divisible by any prime number. The highest common factor is the product of all the prime numbers up to this point. To find the lowest common multiple, we continue to divide the numbers until the result is 1. The numbers do not have to be divided individually. If 2 of the numbers can be divided by a common prime number, divide the 2 numbers at the same time. For this example, 3 and 6 are divisible by 3. After all the 3 numbers have been divided to 1, The lowest common multiple is the product of all the prime numbers.